ITVT. Hi, this is Tracy Swedlow, Editor-in-Chief of Interactive TV Today and Radio ITVT, and the co-producer of the TV of Tomorrow show coming up June 12th and 13th in San Francisco. Be sure to check out our speakers page because it's looking really good. And I am very happy to welcome Lindsay Stewart to our show. She is the CEO and co-founder of a company called Stringr, which is spelled Stringr, so that's stringr.com. Welcome to the show, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's so great to talk to a female CEO. I'm a female CEO, editor. Yes, it's good to be head of your own company, be your own boss, and the boss of lots of men. Or anybody.
Yeah, a good number of them. Or everybody, yeah.
For everybody. Well, I actually trained myself as a producer-director in theater and film and TV. So, we're out there. So that's great. Yep. You have a fantastic background, from what I can see, as a producer for various well-known news outlets, including local stations like KTNV, and I think you also worked for Fox and Bloomberg and CBS News. And you then you started Stringr. Can you tell me why you started Stringr? What happened?
Yeah, so it was actually my last stop on the kind of journalism trail was at ABC News, where I was working out of the Los Angeles bureau, and at the same time was going to business school, where I was surrounded by a good number of other people whose expertise was quite different from mine. And the idea, if you kind of rewind, back then, social media was really gaining some steam, and people were posting pictures and video, but there was no kind of clear way of where to get that license, and easily delivered in a format where we wanted to air it. So a lot of people were duking it out on the likes of YouTube and other social media channels when they were trying to get great video from those places. And so I thought, wouldn't it be better if there was a marketplace and a technological interface where we could request the video that we want and then get it back easily, and then broaden out that network of people who are providing it, those videographers. So if you fast forward to today, that's exactly what we have done. We have about 75,000 videographers based in every corner of the United States. We're expanding to the UK and Australia this year. And what we basically allow our customers to do, no matter whether they're a part of a media outlet or they're a brand or advertiser, is come in and get the video that they want, whether it is live or taped, meaning it comes back and it's something that you can slice and dice and make it into the format you want on whatever, and then, broadcast or publish it on whatever interface that appeals to you.
Well, first of all, the business school you were going to is the well-known Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. So you must have had a lot of great people around you to inspire this, for you to think up such a great idea. I mean, not that you didn't think it up yourself, but it's a good group of people to be around.
Oh, for certain. And I think it was, a lot of people have ideas, right? But it really does come down to execution. And I'm certainly not the only one on the planet who had the idea that, they wanted more video in a cost-effective manner. It really was going to a school where I was surrounded by people who were, I quite honestly say, much smarter than myself, who knew how to build a product, knew how to model out the, market opportunity. And, I found one of those people there, Brian McNeil, not one of my co-founders, the only other co-founder of Stringr, and that's his expertise lies in product management and then also in finance. So it was a nice kind of combination of skills, and we still sit next to each other to this day and continue to build Stringr.
So, I mean, this begs the question, are you supplying video to small outlets or to large outlets? On your site, it says Hearst and the AP and NBC, amongst others. I mean, to what extent are big national networks like those shrinking their teams and hiring yours? Or what's going on? What's the dynamic here?
Well, I think there are a couple of dynamics at play. One is, of course, how, as you mentioned, media companies are staffing themselves, and that is ever evolving. What I don't think we have seen and very much of is the entrenched, solid media companies really forsaking their videography staff to use Stringr. What I think you are mainly seeing is our customers coming to us when they want more video, because so much more video is required. And so if you think about our customers, they do completely range in size of organization. They're large national organizations that, want the top stories of the day, want the kind of top regional stories of the day. They might have a lot of infrastructure in place to capture whatever is going on Capitol Hill or the White House. But if something breaks in, other parts of the country, say, Charlottesville, for instance, we are very much, positioned to get video out of those places quite readily. Same with, the Weather Channel. They can only send crews to so many places, whereas our footprint in terms of videographers is much wider and has a much kind of, intricate coverage area. They don't have to just rely on kind of the metro areas and dispatch videographers from there. We're able to get video out of small, big, and medium-sized towns. So we are able to help all sorts of size of organizations. But what I would say is one of the kind of mottos here, I don't know if it's quite a motto, but thoughts here, is that it's, one thing to get video out of New York, which we do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clips out of New York every day, or every month rather. But it's another thing to really be able to get high quality video out of, a corner of Michigan that isn't as populated, or in the state of Nebraska, where one of our customers has a statewide channel and is covering every corner of that state. So that's where kind of one of our pieces of success is derived.
Curious what you think about the situation like we're having right now. The Notre Dame cathedral is on fire, and I'm looking on Twitter and people are posting videos because they're there. And then all of a sudden underneath it, there are all these news people chiming in from all over the world, ABC, Canada, China, Australia, NBC, and they're all asking this person for clips. Can they have license to these clips? I mean, I'm curious whether as a producer, are they paying for those clips, or are they just getting them for free? And then also, how does Stringr fit in to all of that?
Right. So obviously a fire at Notre Dame is a pretty major news event. And what you're seeing is a lot of national news organizations vying for the first clips that are appearing on social media, which is exactly what I did as a network news producer when I was in that chair. You go in, you take a look at social media, and you see what is already there so that you can get it onto the air. And so sometimes, the original creators of that content, the videographers, the eyewitnesses to those major events do expect payment, but at the very least, it's incumbent upon the news organizations to get license to it, basically to get permission to use that content on their broadcast or on their website, which of course is a pretty cumbersome assignment. If you're a producer just trying to get video to air really quickly, you have to go in, you have to get that person's attention in a means that isn't necessarily a place where people are trying to get two-way communication. So it's a pretty cumbersome process, and that's exactly why I started Stringr, or one of the reasons I did it, is because what happened within our interface and what's happening now is that, we have put in a request for video in Paris as well, and we have already gotten people who are on our app to accept that assignment to go and capture the footage that they see right here and now, and then bring it back into our interface ready for our customers to buy, and it's already pre-licensed. So largely we have kind of closed that loop in terms of payment, closed that loop in terms of licensing, and then closed that loop in terms of timing as well, because obviously a fire at a major landmark, worldwide landmark, is a pretty important thing, and you want to be able to get footage back easily and in HD.
So you're taking out all the haggling and the competition. I don't even know if once you license it to one news entity, I think, can you license it to a bunch of news entities? Maybe it's more competitive, but that's not necessarily what Stringr does. You take out all of the hassle. You take out the the pain points,
Yeah,
I think.
we take out the hassle, and then we allow for, our customers, and in this case, media organizations, to ask for exactly what they want. So, social media might pop up just some imagery, but what our customers can do is say, hey, I will obviously want to see a video of what's going on at Notre Dame, but I'd also like interviews with, witnesses, and I'd like them to be asked these questions. So it takes it an even step further. And in cases, and to get to your exclusivity point, in cases like this, and we have covered a number of what I would call world news events, we do get a number of requests for the same thing. And so what we do is we tell our customers, if they're asking just for a general thing like, footage of fire at the Notre Dame, they will get access to that content, but that content won't be exclusive to them. It'll be made available to all of our customers who are asking for the very same thing.
And when someone licenses it from you, is it immediately licensed to all platforms, or do they have to pay up, for every platform?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I've, being the former producer that I am, wanted to make licensing super easy. And so once they have licensed it, they're able to do it, distribute it across all of their platforms, because it makes it pretty hard and complicated if you have different stipulations on where it's headed, as long as it's, headed in the same, within the same news organization. And what I would say is that what you're really hearing from all the media executives now is, it used to be a couple of years ago, it was like, everybody's got to come to my property and watch it on, whatever their property is. And now everyone is saying, we're going to go to where our viewers and readers are, which is a different and interesting strategy. I don't think it's a bad one, and I think what will happen is the best content in each channel will win. And so I think you'll see some media organizations that are really savvy about adapting a story, for one platform versus another, really coming out as the kind of key winners. And, the other ones, it's Darwinism. So the other ones will be there or not.
It'll be interesting to see if news outlets, how they bring in your content. Do they bring it in as individual files, or do they bring it in as a sort of source where people can tap into all your available video files on the topic, or how do they import this content into their services?
Yeah, they can do it in a number of ways. We have some automated ways, some links, some MRSS feeds, and we even do integrations into the CMSs of our customers. Or they can just download it and take it individually and then publish it as they will. I'm always I'm excited to talk about a lot of things, but one of the things I'm really excited to talk about is just this idea of, new media properties, right? And, whether you're NBC or Sinclair or you are an upstart on your own trying to do it, we're receiving a phone call a day about these new media properties. And, there's a ton of concern over whether they will succeed and whether their distribution strategy is accurate. And then, on the flip side, concern that if they don't keep trying, even if they're a little wrong, that they won't be positioned well when somebody finally gets kind of the monetization piece right. And so what we like about all of that is, there's this analogy that I don't make so well, but is, Stringr has built a system that has broken the cost structure of gathering media. It used to be really, really expensive to get video quickly, and something that you really want to use, and it's in line with your brand standards. And we're able to align on all of those fronts, so that whether you're a major media company or whether you are a smaller upstart, you can run a robust quote-unquote experiment or pilot or build a property without spending the same kind of capital that you would have done even 5 years ago before Stringr was around.
News is growing. We see all these independent news voices on YouTube, more news networks being launched every day, a lot of aggregation going on to control the flow of news, to deliver more news. Does that mean your business is growing? That's a loaded question, but can you tell me a little bit about the sort of growth or the sort of...
No, very much so. You're seeing a lot of, new properties and old properties really trying to figure out what they're doing in that next generation of news. For us, we're seeing a lot of growth in that because there are a lot of what I would fondly call experiments going on in kind of major news operations. They're really trying to figure out where and how they want to distribute the content they have, what kind of content is really kind of viable to their and desired by their readers and viewers. And so Stringr is lucky to be a part of a lot of those different projects that all kind of the major media companies are engaged with right now. Then on the other hand, and in a totally different sphere, what we're seeing is just a desire for video and what I call topical video, but video that pertains to today or the future from other types of customers. So brands and agencies are all looking for video that is more applicable, more contextual, and really speaks to their audience. So we're seeing a good amount of growth not only within the news category, which is of course where we started, but also in a different kind of category of video users, which are brands and agencies.
So you want to stick to the B2B model, correct? It's not like you're going to launch an app where you're delivering that same video news content to the average consumer who wants to sort of tap into their local community to see what video is available of this or that accident or fire or something. There are apps out there that do that kind of thing. Are you staying away from that?
For right now, we're staying away from that. You never, as an entrepreneur, and you would know this just as well as I, want to write anything off for forever. But we very much have been an enterprise-style company and enjoy that relationship that we have with our customers and allow them to be the experimenters and the developers of the next wave of media products. All that being said is we have a very powerful tool, so we are able to enable our customers to gather more content they ever have before without having to, spend as much money, traveling people around the world to capture it.
Do you have a sort of community back end for your videographers? I know there's a special page for them, but is there an environment behind the lines for them to chat with each other or to exchange?
We don't have an environment where we have kind of set up kind of a forum per se where our videographers can chat with each other. But what we do have is a robust curation team here in New York who is here to really enable our videographers to do their best work. So we have real human beings that are taking their calls, their emails, and their texts to make sure that they can get out there and fulfill assignments when they're being asked for and in the manner which our customers are asking for. So we very much believe in the support of our videographers, not just our customers. I always say here at Stringr, we have two customers. We have the customers who pay and we have the customers who provide video, and both are equally as important when you have a two-sided marketplace. So we really do care about making sure our videographers are supported in an appropriate way that makes sure that they get all their questions answered.
Do you provide your videographers with contacts and help to cover the story, or do you provide them with that kind of support that you would get as a producer at a news outlet? Or
it's very much like a desk. Like if you've ever walked into a newsroom or even seen one on TV, we have a desk here that takes questions from our videographers in real time. So they get all information. They get it, of course, technologically as well through our app. So, the table stakes, the who, the what, the when, the why, are provided in the assignments through our app. But then we do take a lot more granular questions from them to make sure that they have the appropriate support to, get the assignment done. In addition to that, anyone who's kind of exploring Stringr as a videographer, we are able to provide them with links to videos and tutorials that we have created. We think all of those things are kind of helpful as they kind of navigate if this is something they even want to do.
Are you providing only news content, or are you providing coverage of, the occasional meeting somewhere or a sports event or something that, like you said, your brands might be interested in, like some footage of, people playing on a beach? I mean, just any kind of random footage, or is it all news oriented?
So we provide all sorts of footage, and you named a few of those categories, whether it be kind of lifestyle or sports or brand-oriented type assignments. For us, it really doesn't matter what kind of assignment, as long as it's legal to capture. It just we want to leverage our community and provide our videographers the best sorts of opportunities that really speak to their skills. And so we have some videographers who are really, really great at news, but we have other videographers who have spent a lifetime, shooting directly for brands. So we do all sorts of kinds of assignments that that kind of go all over the spectrum in terms of topic. I call it the Choose Your Own Adventure video platform.
Choose Your Own Adventure. I don't think you're not necessarily turning your content into interactive files, are you? To use the metaphor for the reference to Choose Your Own Adventure that are interactive. I'm going to assume you're going to say no, but I was just curious.
No, but that sounds really exciting. No, it's really you come in and you can ask Stringr for any kind of video that you want, whether it be a news application, which is, of course, where we started, but also in a number of other realms. You could ask it for, I want, people on the street holding Coca-Cola cans all over the world, and you could get that really quickly. You could ask for people in their cars at tailgates telling you about their favorite snack, and we could get that really quickly. So, lots of fun examples that really aren't, news applications that we're handling now.
So what kind of videographer finds you? 75,000 people can't be the entire populace of professional videographers who shoot for the news industry here in the United States. So, who are these people?
Yeah, I fondly call them the guys and girls with cameras in their closet. I spend a good amount of time talking to these people, calling up our newest registrants, figuring out who they are, mainly because I want to understand if how we're marketing to these people and how we're supporting them makes sense. But it's really people who, have an artistic, they've always wanted to be involved with videography or photography. They have an interest in it. We have a full spectrum of what I call hobbyists all the way up to full professionals. And, it really does kind of run the gamut in terms of who these people are. But it's always been my firm belief that not everybody can provide valuable video. So we don't market to everyone. I always say that anyone can, of course, download our app. We have an Android and iOS app. But the way that we market to new and prospective videographers really does target those folks who we believe will provide valuable video.
Can you provide statistics for the types of news organizations that use your service? 30% this, 40% that. Is that publicly reported?
Yeah, we don't quite think it out like that. We kind of think it out in numbers of transactions. And so what I would say is, any local news customer is using us a lot. And so they come in and make a few requests of us every single day of things that are happening in their community that are more granular, right? And then if you kind of think of national organizations, they are coming to us for when they can't send their own crews and it's too far away. So if you were to think about our business to date, we've been commercially available for 3.5 years now. Still, by far and large, our customer base is news-oriented, and now you're seeing kind of a growth in other, what we call verticals, other spaces that want, video of anything, anywhere as well. So we have major universities that are starting to sign up and get video or use even our archive to kind of look at events from the past. We're bringing on increasingly more entertainment and advertising and brand style customers. But it is fair to say that at this juncture, most of our customers do revolve in the news world, but that's where we began.
The news industry is about to change because of the existence of ATSC 3.0 technology, which will allow local television to become more on demand, get addressable advertising, perhaps become interactive. It'll free up a lot of these local news organizations to do more. To some extent, I'm wondering out loud with you, and it sounds like you might be doing that with the universities. Would it be a good idea to make a relationship so that you can deliver a video content and then they use some of it for news reporting, but then perhaps market to their viewers, to their customers to purchase videos? So it would be like a revenue share. Is that something in the future, perhaps, that you could,
I always appreciate having a conversation about pricing and revenue share. That isn't exactly one of the models that we have thought out completely. What we're kind of doing right now is kind of experimenting within some other interfaces with, OTT and kind of seeing where our customers are headed in terms of how they're going to charge their customers, whether it be subscription or ad supported or not. So I think that's kind of the main conversations that we're having now. But what I will say is, this, as you put it, is kind of an ever-evolving landscape. So, as things change, we'll be there to kind of change with it, hoping that we can create a structure where a lot of, really great and, media properties can build, off the back of Stringr.
Here's a big question. Do you have an exit strategy, or do you see, in other words, do you think you'd like to get bought, merged, acquired, or where do you feel Stringr can go in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we do have those conversations, and it might not surprise you that, we do get a good amount of outreach kind of on the acquisition front. Without going into too much detail about that, what I can say is, there are the logical places where Stringr could be within kind of, media organizations right now. And, we'll always explore those options. That's, I guess, the smart thing to do. But for right now, we're just focused on growing the company and then looking at these other verticals and growing and expanding into those as well, so that, whenever the right time is and the right acquirer comes or doesn't come, we're positioned well to continue to grow and, drive revenue and a very good product.
All right. Well, I think have asked all my questions, but is there anything else you'd like to point out that we didn't touch on?
No, I think you got it. We're looking forward to it expanding, and while we don't like hearing about breaking news at Notre Dame, I like that church a lot. I think that we are in a good position to at least enable kind of the next wave of content gathering, and look forward to kind of evolving with the always changing landscape.
Oh, are you going to participate in the run up to the election, or be on the ground? Do you proactively put your photographers in those kinds of places without being?
Yeah, very much so. So we already have started, putting our plan together in terms of, monitoring the candidates and being able to go get footage around the events where they are. So no, we do think the political campaign is a great opportunity, especially since, there is quite the, I guess, the array of candidates, at least on the Democratic side of the coin. I think our service will enable some of our customers, either live or taped, to be able to gather that footage without having to kind of send a crew every single time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. And I think we're looking forward to having you at TVOT. I think so.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you in person.
And I look forward to introducing you around and having you meet everyone. All right.
I appreciate it.
Lindsay Stewart is the CEO and co-founder of Stringr, STRINGR.com. And my name, of course, is Tracy. You know who I am. And be sure to go to the tvoftomorrowshow.com site and buy tickets for TVOT coming up before they're all gone. All right. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.